完璧などありえない。この世界は不完全。だから美しい。もう
バカ。
何？
俺は海賊王になる。待って、なんて美味しさなの。
力を渡した時に言ったことを覚えているかい？くれ。違う、そこじゃない。
変態。遅い。
Hello and welcome to More Than Hentai, a podcast that is here to show that anime is far more than just tentacles and catgirls. There's also stories of love, loss, laughs, hope, horror, and happiness that are just dying to be found. And I, Brenda White, the Salt and Pepper Senpai, am here to help you find them. More Than Hentai is proudly powered by Audio Technica and Dashwater. So go upgrade your audio and hydration games today, preferably after you listen to this absolute banger of an episode of MTH. And joining me in the Segoya studio is my trusted co-host and rival who puts the anime into Animaniac. You can find her on them socials at Cottony_Sun. Mrs. Courtney Smith, you bloody legend. Welcome back to the studio for the second time today. How the bloody hell are you?
I am so good. This is so crazy to me because the first time we ever did a podcast together, it was More Than Hentai, like last year. And then I came on the show again after that. And then afterwards I was like, we should just do another podcast together.
Yeah, you just went, you know what? I'm part of the furniture now. Let's do something here. And then More Than Headlines was born.
Yeah. So hisashiburi to More Than Hentai, but also I was literally just here 2 seconds ago.
Yeah. So, full spoilers, full disclosure for anyone that isn't checking out our weekly news-related anime podcast, More Than Headlines. First and foremost, why the bloody hell not? It's the best news and reviews podcast, anime and manga adjacent in the land. So check it out once you're done listening to this episode, of course. But yeah, we record that weekly, and then every couple of weeks I also do an episode of More Than Hentai, where we do singular deep dives on hopefully your new favorite anime. So we're going to be respectful of the listeners, the viewers, the Segoy squads, and our time today, Courtney. We're going to do the backstory, how you came to be with anime, what you love, what you don't love. You can go back and check out the fantastic Darling in the Franxx episode we recorded in 2023 to hear Courtney make her debut on this feed in much glory and much critical acclaim. But Courtney, what do you think? Do we just jump right on in here to our title in focus for this week's episode of More Than Hentai? What you reckon?
Let's do it.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so listeners, viewers, Segoy Squad, if this is your first time stopping on by, the way this podcast works is we are going to be doing a singular deep dive on the first episode only of an anime. And typically this anime is one that either one or both of us who are recording have yet to watch before our discussion started to get on the podcast. We unpacked the episode front to back. It's full spoiler. We do not go into spoiling major plot points of the series beyond the first episode, but we are going to do a full deep dive, get right down into the muck, into the grit, into the dirt, and talk about the good, the bad, and everything else in between to see if this is an anime that you should be checking out and picking up. And our title in focus for this episode of More Than Hentai is the sci-fi action romantic comedy shonen known as Dandadan, which is a series written and illustrated by Yukinobu Tatsui, which debuted in April of 2021 and has been collected into 16 tankobon volumes and 168 chapters available at time of recording. We are recording at 5:02 p.m. AEST on the 6th of October of 2024. And an anime adaptation written by Hiroshuki Seiko, directed by Fuga Yamashiro, and produced by Science Saru, the studio behind such titles as Devilman Crybaby, Keep Your Hands Off Izuzoken, Star Wars Visions, and Ride Your Wave began airing approximately 2 days ago on the 4th of October of 2024, with the first season currently planned for a 12-episode run. Dandadan can be found on Crunchyroll and Netflix and currently holds a score of 8.75 on my anime list, and this is based on 15,000 unique user reviews, making it the 49th ranked and the 182nd most popular anime on the website, and a series that I am currently scoring a goddamn 10 out of 10 because I'm a sicko and I love this world. And the story of Dandadan is as follows. After being aggressively rejected, Momo Ayase finds herself sulking when she stumbles across Ken Takakura being bullied. Saved by her rash kindness, the alien-obsessed boy attempts to speak to her about extraterrestrial interests he believes they both share. Rejecting his claims, Ayase proclaimed that she is instead a believer in ghosts, starting an argument between the two over which is in fact real. In a bet to determine who is correct, the two decide to separately visit locations associated with both the extraterrestrial and the supernatural, Ayase visiting the former and the boy visiting the latter. When the two reach their respective places, it turns out that neither was wrong and that both aliens and ghosts do indeed exist. This marks the beginning of Momo and Ken's adventure as they attempt to fix the surreal, supernatural, and extraterrestrial elements around them to return to a normal life. So, Courtney, we're going to be diving deep into episode 1, which is titled That's How Love Starts, You Know. I will also quickly share a very brief trigger warning, as episode 1 does deal with themes of sexual assault. I cannot speak for future episodes of the anime, but I'm fully up to date on the manga and can confirm nothing like what happens in episode 1 happens in future chapters, as of which there is 168 currently available at time of recording. So if you are needing to be, potentially step away from that, it happens about midway through the episode and runs for about 5 or so minutes, but just be careful because, there is, references and pretty invasive imagery of sexual assault happening in these couple of minutes. Jumping back to general impressions, I wanted to say this is everything that I hoped it would be and more. The horror, the heart, the humor, and the horniness all come together to create one of the best and hopefully soon to be biggest anime of 2024. I'm calling it now also that this is the best opener of the year. Creepy Nuts do not miss, and I am so in. I am buying front row seats to this show because I'm a card-carrying member of the Dandadan fan club. And Courtney, I'm obsessed. What's your general impression of episode 1 of Dandadan?
So far, as a non-manga reader, most importantly, so I kind of lack that background, I guess, for this anime. But so far, it's really solid. I am yet to be kind of swept away into this world like you have been, but I'm sure that will come with time. Of course, a first episode is a first episode. We're establishing characters, we're establishing a story. I think as far as establishing goes, it's done a really, really good job, and I'm very excited.
That makes me feel good. Yeah, I'm out to sea. I need David Hasselhoff with that red Lilo to come running down the beach to save me because I am drowning. I need help, but it's going to be a good death because Dandadan is my kind of time. But I'm happy to know that you're feeling good. You enjoyed this first episode. I do agree with you where they do give us a good amount of backstory to sort of sink our teeth into. They explain this world. They give us a very, very quick intro as far as this is the stakes. This is what's happening here. Aliens, the supernatural, all this stuff exists. Here's your two MCs with Ken and Momo. We get some context as far as how they came to be and who they are as people. And it's just a good, strong first episode, I felt. And I'm so horny for more.
I also wanted to touch on the Creepy Nuts opening because ever since I heard them doing the Call of the Night opening, I can pick up their music after a second of listening to an opening song, and every single time it's fantastic.
It's so distinctive amongst the anime openings and closings we see, and just I guess maybe in that type of scene in general, it's two dudes that just know the assignment every single time. The lead singer, he's got such a unique vocal delivery and cadence to his voice, and then the guy working the synth and the electronics in the background, some of the noises and just syncopations he has going on, it's just so frenetic, but it just can't make you sort of not do a little bop like with Mashley and with Get Call the Night, and now with Dandadan. It's just banger after banger after banger. And this song, though, combined with the visuals of the opener, is just such an immediate tone setter. It felt like this anime and this OP in particular, it is a humper. I love it. And anyone that doesn't know what a humper means, at least for me, it's great. It's it's banging, it's hitting hard, it's a good time. And seeing the worlds of Dandadan and Creepy Nuts just melt together perfectly, it feels like a match made in heaven. And with this opener, we see great shots of the main cast, of which a lot of them we don't get introduced to into this first episode, but we're getting introduced through the OP, seeing future people we may love, hate, or feel indifferent towards. But we also get this murderer's row of beasts and baddies and just general suspect looking things going on. And then you combine that with this crazy animation style and the color palette that's getting used to perfection by Science Saru. Like, it's just double thumbs up for me with this OP, and just combining all these crazy frenetic eclectic scenes and then just these little dance numbers as well, like seeing Ken and Momo, just like seeing Momo doing little hip shuffles and spins. I'm just like, I love these characters and I will die for them already.
You're right to do it. So yeah, the opening, fantastic. If it's a Creepy Nuts song as the opening of your anime, you know it's going to be good.
Yeah. And then combining like just the art style, like the respect to the art from the manga panels, it is ripped straight from panel to screen. Like the characters look exactly the same, the world looks exactly the same, their emotions, their expressions, it is all just panel to screen perfect. And yeah, it's just a good sexy tone setup.
I'm actually kind of curious about that because I noticed with this show, I love the art style. I love that it's not afraid to kind of go for that more like simplistic kind of like a circle and like two dots and a smiley face. Is that really reflective of the manga as well?
Exactly. Yeah. It's you see a lot of that minimalistic expressionism happening often, and I love those moments too, because even though it is a simple way to animate or to draw, when it is thrown in, it's such a stark contrast to what you've been reading or seeing before that. So I think it makes the emotion hit harder in those moments or stand out more, for a better term.
Yeah, I agree. I really like when an artist isn't afraid to do that. Like I'm a huge fan of different art styles and things that aren't quite typical. So seeing, those shifts in expression are really, really interesting to me.
It's so good. But yeah, after this absolute banger and tone setter of an opening, we're then introduced to Momo, who is in the midst of a surprisingly violent breakup with her first boyfriend, who's just a real piece of shit. Like straight away, I'm not a big fan of this guy, and he's very much equal parts octopus, squid, and tuna. Not in the literal sense. That's just Momo throwing abuse at him as he leaves, which, made me cackle a little bit that, that's the strength of her words that she has. Like out of all the things she could have called him, she calls him creatures from the sea. We then flash forward to Momo, who's mourning in class about the breakup with two of her friends who are questioning, why she dated him in the first place. And this is where Momo reveals the reason that they dated is that he looks like Ken Takakura, who is actually a real-life famous Japanese actor who passed away around a decade or so ago at the ripe old age of 83. Very handsome dude right up until his death. Like, he's a good-looking rooster. And I get why Momo's a little bit thirsty towards Ken because, he's a good-looking dude and he's got some swagger about him, old Ken Takakura.
So, okay, I have thoughts because as a connoisseur of hot old men, he is like the Clint Eastwood of Japanese film. Essentially, he starred in over 200 different films and he's so handsome. He aged like a fine wine. And as someone who is very attracted to Clint Eastwood even now, I'm like, I get it, girly. Like, go for your life.
I get it. Like I can respect a good old grizzled silver fox, and just someone that's got a bit of that sort of hard swagger from yesteryear. And yeah, Ken Takakura certainly emits some of that from a bit of the research and some of the clips and the stills that I saw of him. Like, yeah, he's a good looking old stalwart. So that's where we're introduced to Momo. We find out that that's her type. She's longing for Ken Takakura. The guy she dated with didn't really look like him at all, and he was just a prick. But luckily, we don't have to deal with him for the rest of this episode at all. But after this sort of situation, Momo is still very heartbroken and reflective, and she's just aimlessly wandering the school halls, asking the universe for Ken Takakura to be presented to her. That's the love of her life. She just wants Ken, and then she notices a boy getting bullied in one of the classrooms. And it's sad to see, like, he's just there reading his magazine on the occult, trying to ignore these piece of shit kids throwing stuff at him, yelling things at him. He's just doing his little thing behind his magazine and his glasses. And Momo comes in, she breaks it up. She stands in front of the kids who are throwing stuff at him from in front. Love this. Good little hero moment, good little sort of middle finger from her. But then she continues on her way, like saves him, gets up, keeps going. And then, Ken chases after her, assuming the reason that she defended him is that she's also an alien truther. But we find out clearly she is not. She then snaps at Ken, running him down, says some pretty harsh things to him about being a nerd, having no friends. And you can see poor little Ken's heartbreak as she's sort of just berating him about this, about being a loser and going to pretty much die alone, for lack of a better term. And the magazine drops to the ground as his heart shatters. We then get this moment of silence where Momo attempts to walk away. She then realizes, you know what I did was kind of pretty crappy. I need to probably make amends here. She turns around, apologizes, attempts to hand the magazine back to Ken, tells him in this moment that she doesn't in fact believe in aliens, but she believes in ghosts, which then causes Ken to crack up laughing, telling Momo that ghosts are fake, starting to make fun of her for believing in ghosts. We get some really good back and forth between the two leads here. Momo adds a bit of context as to why she believes in ghosts here, because she says that her grandma is a medium. Ken then does his best to dispute the whole medium sort of career progression and dispute spirits in general, about the sort of the story that Momo's sharing about her grandma there. And then we see Momo's two friends from earlier come down the stairs, stumble across this argument. And then they comment about, she gave up on Ken Takakura very quickly here for some creepy little otaku. And it's interesting because she's not even trying to hide her affection in this moment. We get more back and forth between the two. They then place a bet where they're like, all right, we're going to go to separate locations that are known for alien and or ghost activity. If Ken or Momo witnesses aliens or ghosts in said location, if the things that they so strongly don't believe in, they are going to become the other person's gopher. So this was a very fun but full 6 minutes we get here. We're a quarter of the way through the episode. We get a lot of time with our two main characters. We get some explanation about, okay, there's aliens and ghosts that exist in this world and the supernatural and the occult. We see that there's some romance folded in here. There's some humor. There's a bit of crassness. But it's just a fun world already where I'm like, I want to go to this school. I want to be friends with these two people.
Definitely. I think the first thing I noticed and the thing that really hooked me in, like at the beginning, was the art style shifting. Like I mentioned, that kind of shift from like really detailed to really simple. And I love a series that isn't afraid to like give their characters a silly face. Like the moment when Ken kind of chases her out of the classroom and he's like got his magazine and he's like gritting his teeth and his head is a square. I'm like, yes, this is a sign of quality.
It's such quality from front to back. And these first few minutes and just this episode or this series as a whole, it reminds me of another franchise that I adore in Fully Cooley, where it ties into aliens and science fiction and there's a bit of love, and they also lean into those really exaggerated or minimalistic facial animation styles. So we see that sort of world coming together. So it felt familiar to me in a way watching it here. I'm like, man, I haven't felt this way since I watched something like Fully Cooley. I did a rewatch of Fully Cooley at the start of the year because it's only 6 episodes. It's an easy banger to smash through. But yeah, the vibes are flowing after these first 6 minutes. And then we flash forward to the evening and we see the two walking through their respective haunted or alien related situations. They're talking to each other via phone at the moment. So Ken has sent Momo to the decrepit Nagi Hospital, which is a known UFO hotspot, which is really super creepy. Like hospitals in general, even like normal ones that are fully functioning, I don't like hospitals. They just always give me the ick. And when it's run down and decrepit like this, it gives me like the quadruple ick. So I'm like, man, Momo, like be strong, girl. I would not want to be there. So she's walking around this hospital. And then Ken's, giving a context about, going to the roof is the best place because that's where you're going to be able to get abducted and experimented on. And so she's like, what? That happened to you? Like you've actually met an alien before? And he's like, yeah, I think I have. But like, it's a well-known fact that when you get abducted by aliens, they wipe your memory afterwards when they're finished. So he's in this sort of sense of false belief that he has met aliens and they've abducted him and done all kinds of things. So he's trying to lead her up to the roof. And then we see that Ken has been sent to this abandoned tunnel in Shono City that is known to be super duper mega haunted as well. And the animation in these scenes here is a real standout for me, where we're seeing this, like the black and darkness of the tunnel. We're seeing minimal animation in Ken and minimal expression, but we're seeing constantly this big yellow moon sort of framing the shots. And it was stunning, but also very eerie. So you're seeing the tone start to shift, where it's gone from fun and love and young aloof teenagers to, okay, now we're getting darker and scarier and more eerie and a little bit unsettling. And so, it's a little bit like goosebumpy here, where you're like, ooh, what's going to happen? Are they both going to be okay? And ignoring what's to come, we'll talk about that in a second, but which location would you have preferred to have been sent to? Would you like to go to the creepy ghost tunnel or the creepy abandoned alien hospital?
If I had to go to any, like if someone was like, you have to go, if you don't go, you're in big trouble, I think I would probably go to the tunnel, just because you see a lot of haunted tunnels in anime and Japanese media, and I feel like I have enough experience with it that I would have more of an understanding of the situation. I would know what to do if a spirit emerged.
I'm with you, especially because these hospitals would be like a maze, like trying to get in and out of these places, and especially if you're getting chased by some type of evil thing, it would be scary, but then even scarier on top, because I feel I'd get lost and double back and end up in the same place. Then I'm in big trouble. And I've gone to a few, in parentheses, haunted tunnels over the years. There's one out near Campbelltown. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head. I'm blanking on it, but it was really heebie-jeebie stuff. And yeah, it's really unsettling. And I'm a believer in probably both of these things, if I'm being honest. I feel the universe is too big to not have something out there.
Me too.
And the world is too big to not have something happen once we pass. So I'm firmly in both Momo and Ken's camps here. But yeah, if I had the choice, I wouldn't go to either, because it's scary stuff.
Yeah, I'm too easily scared. I think ghosts are so scary, but even in this situation, I feel like aliens, like, they're so unpredictable. Like, a ghost is maybe easier to handle.
Yeah. There's less chance of some type of abduction and then experimentation, where a ghost, depending on which ghost stories you want to follow, it might slime you. It could do other things. Who knows? But yeah, I've got some ghost stories and things like that I'll share with you one day for sure. That yeah, still stay with me to this day. But yeah, we're sort of back in Dandadan land now, as they continue to explore. And it's nice to see, as they're both walking through these clearly messed up locations and situations, they are casually chatting. And it's nice that you see that they're so comfortable with each other already, and they're opening up and sharing, what's happened up to this moment. Like we're talking to Momo here, and just like with Ken, how he's like, oh, I've never actually seen an alien. Momo says that she's never seen a ghost, and that her grandmother has raised her since her parents passed away when she was very young. Momo explains how her entire family are, in parentheses, weird. And, so if you're going to be, hanging out and getting to know me, get ready for some weird and wacky that might come your way. And we get this story where she's saying when she was young, she had to walk to school holding a ritual pose for safety to keep the bad spirits away. And that was something that her grandmother said that would keep her safe. But as we know, with school and with kids are cruel. So she got to school and people made fun of her doing this, and the boys she liked started making fun of her. But also, the thing that she hated more than her being made fun of is that her grandma was getting made fun of here. So you can see that she has a very big heart. She cares about the people around her and the people that matter to her more than, I guess, what happens to her. She's more about making sure the people around her are safe and secure and feeling good. And we find out as well that the reason that Momo believes in ghosts is because her grandma does too. So it was a really nice little heartwarmer there. But we also then find out the exact opposite of that is Ken doesn't really have a reason why he likes the occult. He just does. It's like, you like what you like, and that's fine. And I'm like, you know what? That's very, very accurate, Ken. More people need to realize that. More people need to realize they don't need to justify what they're into and their hobbies and their passions. If you like it, you own it, and that's a good time. And I think that's something we can all agree with, Courtney.
No, totally. I do think, though, his character is written very well, in the fact that as a teenage boy, he maybe hasn't really explored deeper the reason that he's into the occult and aliens. And I think, just from this watch, it's that way to be connected. Like maybe like as like a bit of a nerd, maybe as a bit of a loner, he's like never really had connection. Like he's always felt alien or alienated. And I think, you know, for him, he's kind of reaching for that connection in a way, which is maybe I'm thinking too hard about it, but that's how I saw.
I think you're bang on, because later in the episode, he's talking about literally reaching up with the CB radio, trying to get the aliens to talk to him. So
Yeah.
you nailed it. God, you're good. You're good. You're good. You should do podcasts sometimes. But anyway,
Thanks.
we're seeing, Ken's continuing to explore this tunnel. We then notice that there's some bloody footsteps leading towards him, and I'm like, uh-oh, this is not going to be a good time. This is very creepy, and he's got the old traditional battery-powered torch, and he's sort of flicking the light around the pitch-black tunnel trying to see what's going on. Very scary. The heart's sort of starting to beat a little bit more here, because you're like, okay, you can hear it in the sounds, like the soundtrack's starting to dial up and get a little bit eerie at the same time here. And then through the darkness, we're then introduced to a yokai called Turbo Granny, who delivers one of the greatest lines in all of Animanga right here, where the first thing she says to Ken is she goes, "I'll let you suckle my teats, boy, if you let me gobble your dong." And you're just like, that's really funny, but also really creepy, and I'm really scared. And Ken, you better run, son, because this doesn't look like a good time.
So this scene is so well done and so reflective of this kind of like haunted spot culture in anime, because you see it a lot. First of all, the line is just insane. Second of all, the thing that made me laugh harder than her line was the fact that she's called Turbo Granny. Because no one will run faster than Turbo Granny. Turbo is in her name for a reason. And third of all, I think the best part of this is that there's always rules with ghosts and haunted spots. There's always rules. And obviously Momo has not explained the rules to Ken, because she says, don't run. Don't run. Like, it will not end well for you. But he's already running. He's so paralyzed with fear, he's running, right? He's in that fight or flight state. So he's already running, and it's already going downhill from here.
Yeah, and just the character model of Turbo Granny as well, like the way they animate her, and just like that piercing yellow of the eyes, just like the moons that sort of foreshadowed it just before. You see that same yellow, and then just watching the eyes roll around in her head and then focus on Ken, I'm like, you know what? Like, this is funny, but I also feel really uncomfortable right now. And I love when media can sort of tonal shift and genre jump like that, just like scene to scene. And yeah, it just made me really like, ugh, like, but also I'm like, yeah, run, Ken. But then you hear Momo saying, don't run, don't move. Like you said, Courtney, there's rules to these things. Just stand your ground. But yeah, like anyone would do, like I'd be on the toe straight away. I'd be trying to break for the tunnel. But then you're also hearing here in these moments as the soundtrack's starting to really dial up, and the chase scene here, Momo's like, whatever you do then if you're running, don't let her catch you, Ken, like, because she'll put a curse on you if you get caught. So you're like, oh shit, there's the stakes. And like you said, Courtney, she's got goddamn Turbo in her name. So you know she's not slow, unless you hope it's just ironic and maybe she is actually slow. But we find out very quick that she ain't slow. And the animation and the colors that are used here in this scene, gorgeous, top-notch, high-end from Science Saru, where we're getting the pitch black nature of the tunnel contrasted by these reds and those beady yellow eyes. And then I love in media, and especially in like horror-related stuff, where we get first-person perspectives of the bad chasing stuff. And we get that here in a way from what's more over the shoulder here with Turbo Granny. And we see her like just dial it up, and she starts running, and she sort of runs up the wall onto the ceiling. And anytime you see a baddie do that, it reminds me of like the xenomorphs from Aliens, where they're up on the roof, on the walls, like nowhere safe. And Turbo Granny is coming for Ken, and he's just running his little legs as fast as possible. But then we see her sort of jump from the roof on top of Ken, and we see these giant spirit hands just sort of swallow him up. And it was really creepy, but really cool. And then in this moment, the phone cuts out, and you can see that it's clear it's some occult-related energy here. The phone's glitching and on the screen, and it goes dead. Momo freaks out, and so she starts trying to exit the hospital, running towards the tunnel to save Ken, because it's clear that, she cares about the people very strongly in her life, and she's made a good connection with Ken already. And so she starts running. We get a creepy scene here where all the external lights start switching off one by one in the hospital. And again, skin crawl, heart race moments. And as they turn off one by one, it sort of leads our eyes to these 3 clone triplets down this hallway looking at her, just creepy, creepy characters. And as she tries to escape, she's taken by these 3 cloned aliens that we'll find out, minor spoiler, but then it fades to black. And it's like, man, Courtney, the stakes and the pacing has just gone to 11, within the span of a minute here. And it's like, man, I need to catch a breath. There's a lot happening.
Yeah. I want to go back to the red coloring of that tunnel. It's so good. And really just, the contrast of Turbo Granny's eyes with the red of the tunnel is crazy and so creepy. And then contrasting again with that, the aliens and the hospital, and it's so creepy, but in such a different way. And I feel like when people talk about aliens, you never really think about the fear and the horror and almost the body horror of what comes along with aliens. You just, ghosts are scary. Ghosts are scary in any time, any place. Aliens, though, I think there's this sense of curiosity almost. So I think we kind of accept it in a way, but then you see in the hospital the lights going off one by one, and that's this signal of aliens. That's how aliens are there. And it made me think of that horror film Nope with the aliens.
Yeah.
And that the way that aliens really are scary because you don't know. We're curious, but it's so dangerous. And seeing them in those little creepy human in a suit, shirt and pants, I'm like, oh, these guys are incels.
I think seeing them in a humanoid capacity made them more unsettling than just a typical, gray alien with big eyes and whatever else that we're so used to from broader media. But seeing them as these, weird sort of human, but no, they're not just based off the shape, but they've got sort of the main beats of what a human should look like. Just, made me feel really unsettled. And I like that you used the term incel, because it's got a bit of that vibe to it as well.
Definitely, especially when we get to the next scene.
Yeah, so the next scene, Momo awakens, and this is the sexual assault scene. This is where it all plays out here within the episode. So Momo awakens. She's strapped into a chair in nothing more than her underwear, because as she's getting grabbed before the scene fades to black, you can see they're grabbing and ripping at her and ripping at her clothes. So she's there in just her underwear, and these 3 creepy humanoid sons of guns are standing around her. And we find out that what has captured her are aliens, and they're known as Serpoians from the planet Serpo. So however you want to sort of name them from here on out, we can just go with that. But we find out that, this species from planet Serpo, they're all male, and they require the use of Momo's banana organs to further evolve, because at the moment, their clone-based technology just keeps making exactly what we're seeing here. 3 of the same weirdo humanoid-looking dudes. They want to continually evolve and continually change, so they need to impregnate and experiment on females from other races to their race, I guess, into the ultimate deity or whatever. And then in this moment where we're talking about the banana organs, we see, let's say, Serpo number 2 here whip out a giant robotic-like penis with the plans that he is going to impregnate her and take her uterus. And you're just like, Jesus Christ, this is getting very serious, very stressful, and touching on some pretty intense topics. We always talk about alien abductions and anal probes and everything. That's something that's always made light of, but seeing it realized here in real life, in parentheses, you're like, oh, this is fuck. Someone save this girl, because this is messed up. We find out as well that the Serpoians, they can use psychokinesis, because they're like, all right, now lady, we're going to get you stimulated, and they're using their mind bullets to try and turn her on for the impending impregnation. So you're like, man, this is intense, and I don't know where it's going to go. but we find out that Momo has really strong spiritual energy and she's fighting against these psychokinesis-based attacks. And it's a really, really, really big fever dream of a scene where they're using their psychokinesis and we're sort of seeing the three heads like kaleidoscope around Momo. Like, it is gorgeously animated, but also creepily animated. And the color palette here with the really muted blue, sort of cool color palette they've used really, I think, contrasts the lack of coolness that's going on, because this is a very stressful, uncomfortable scene. But luckily, this scene is then interrupted because Momo's phone rings. But you're like, hang on, what happened? Last we saw, her phone, got damaged during the call with Ken in the tunnel. Serpo number 3 picks up the phone, only to be then kicked in the face through the phone. So you're like, what in God's name is happening right here? We then see a fused Ken and Turbo Granny climb through the phone, a la the Ring Girl through the TV, which is also gorgeous animation, but also creepy, but in the right ways. And then Ken/Turbo Granny swiftly bites off one of the aliens' penises and then just slings him into the wall, indisposes him instantaneously. And you're like, holy crap, Corny, this is going a lot of places very fast.
This part, the scene was really hard to watch. And I don't know if that's, like, as a woman, it was like very almost real in a way. It was very, very hard to watch. And, the alien's penis tool was like, that was like terrifying, right? That was...
Yeah, it was like a 3-foot tall robotic monster thing with spikes, and like, it would be anything but pleasurable for anybody. And like you said, even though this is an animated show and it's about an alien abduction, the way they handled this scene, it felt real and it felt unsettling. And like, it was, it made people feel something. And I think that's good, because yes, it is silly and whimsical in a lot of ways, this anime and scenes around this, but I think the fact they didn't water this scene down and that you could see the fear in Momo and just the realness as to what was about to happen. I like that, yes, they're talking about jokes and banana organs and stuff, but in these minutes, it felt really grounded and really respectful. I don't know if respectful is the right word, but they tried to handle this as best they could, and I think they executed that.
Yeah, I think so. And then having Ken like come and just save her, I felt so relieved. Like, I physically, like, I was holding my breath, and as soon as he came through, I was like, oh, thank God. Like, that was a really, really hard scene to watch, I think. And going from the comedy of the first quarter of the show and then them kind of like walking around on the phone together, and it was really nice, and then going to this such a stark contrast from what we'd seen, I was like, in a way I had to really kind of come to terms with the fact that it was the same show, because it was very, very different. But Ken, suddenly I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the coolest guy I've ever seen saving her.
Yeah, it's nice to see. And I like that, yes, this scene does go for a couple of minutes, but it didn't overstay its welcome. It didn't get too into the muck and into the atrocities that is sexual assault. And yeah, it was nice to see Turbo Ken, if we want to call him that, sort of smash through the phone in this crazy scene. But then from there, like, it feels like the madness levels are already at an all-time high, but it still somehow dials up even more here, because we see the Serpoians here reveal their true form. So they rip off their humanoid skin, and instead they end up resembling something like, I don't know if you remember Are Real Monsters, but Ablina from Are Real Monsters. It's pretty much what these aliens look like, where they've got eyes sort of off their head. They're sort of colored in sort of like a stripe-like pattern, just like Ablina. So I saw that and I had a bit of a Leo on the couch moment, thinking back to Ablina and Ickis and Crumb and the greatness that was Are Real Monsters. And we see this fight then break down between Turbo Ken and the aliens. And one thing I do appreciate in this moment, and then the flow on from here, is, yes, Ken came through to save Momo, or at least stop this moment from happening. But ultimately, Momo saves herself. They don't have her as like, yeah, she's cast here in this scene. She's the damsel in distress. But then a couple minutes later, we're like, no way, she's just a bad bitch who's got psycho powers, and she saves the day. So I like that they gave her power back from this moment with this potential, sexual assault scene with aliens, and then they show that it's like, no, she can save herself and save the world because she's a bad mother.
I also like that there's that kind of payoff for her, right? Like she's bullied for, all of the kind of ghost and spirit stuff that she, believed in as a child. And then we, even her friends, like she's friends with like the popular girls. She's a gyaru. Her ex-boyfriend was like a bit of like a Yankee delinquent. Boy. Yeah. And so we're kind of seeing this like background of hers that's maybe like a little bit uncool, and she gets bullied for it. But, there's a payoff. Like it's actually really important for her, like in this moment.
Yeah. So I had a bit of a good sort of fist bump hero moment coming up here. But yeah, so we see Turbo Ken come in and we think, oh yeah, he's going to save the day. But no, old alien number 2 uses some psycho mind bullets and like finger guns to just blast him into the wall, because he's like, I'm gonna save you, Momo. And then he's like, actually, I think I'm kind of done. And then there's a funny line here where Momo's like, but you didn't even try. Like, what's going on? Like, this is all you got? But we then do get this really, really strong, confident and heartfelt speech / monologue here from Ken, who's stuck to the wall here, just smashed to smithereens, half human, half turbo granny. And he's saying that, you know what, I'm going to offer up my banana in place of Momo and start sharing memories from his childhood, where he's been calling out to aliens since he could pretty much walk, because like you said, Courtney, he's never had friends. He's always felt alien. He's always felt isolated and alone. And he thought, you know what, if anyone's going to appreciate me and be friends with me, it's going to be you aliens. And yet you never came, you never acknowledged me, you never answered. And it's a really powerful speech, and it really shows in this short, like 30 seconds worth of dialogue, who Ken is, but also how much care he has for the people in his life. Because he's like, you know what, no one's ever had my back until Momo stood up for me today. And there's this line in here where old Turbo Ken, he drops some more fire, like he's just gospeling here. He's just preaching. And he goes, you know what, if it's for her sake, I'll even become a monster. And you're just like, God damn, this is so great. And I'm all for this. And I'm rooting for this little guy, and I'm rooting for Momo, and I want them to be friends and lovers and whatever else. Like they're my 2 people. They're my people, and I'm in their corner. And then we get this flashback here in this moment of Momo getting lessons from her grandma Seiko, who is, minor spoilers, that probably the sexiest grandma in anime history. And wait till you meet her in future episodes. But Grandma Seiko is giving her advice about releasing her chi, and that will be able to keep her safe from bad things. And again, in this moment, we get this gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous shot of them near the shrine gate. And we're seeing the sun setting in the background, and just the color palette and the framing of this shot. Like, it is cinema, Courtney.
It's so, so pretty. And I figured when I saw Momo's grandma with like the long white hair, I was like, oh, is that the sexy grandma that everyone's been talking about? Good to know that I was correct. But yeah, it's really sweet. And I think more than anything, this show is such a don't read a book by its cover coming of age. And like, you really see that, like, they end up going through this together, but they couldn't be more different, right? From completely different worlds, like the loner nerd Ken and the popular cool girl Momo. Like, it's very different worlds, but them coming together is really sweet.
Yeah, I'm in complete lockstep with you there. And yeah, so we get that really gorgeous shot there at the shrine gate. We then flash forward again to current day, where Momo is still tied up in these alien shackles, but she's using that memory and that advice from her grandma there to awaken her psychic powers. She breaks the restraints and then delivers one hell of a spirit kick to, Serpoian number one, who's been causing Ken a lot of grief, smashes this guy or alien or it is a guy. Yeah, they don't have females in there, right? Smashing this stupid alien through the wall and actually ends up damaging the spacecraft. And we find out, okay, so they've already been abducted and this is happening in the spacecraft. And it's kind of a cool scene where we see the spacecraft has been just sitting idle beside the hotel, and it's got like the hospital, sorry. It's got a cloaking mechanism, but due to the power of this kick, we're seeing the cloaking ability start to flicker and falter, like an electrical fire start to occur because, clearly Momo is just the baddest spiritual girl on the planet right now. Turbo Ken is starting to have Turbo Granny take over him a little bit more here and attempts to devour Momo, just like earlier Turbo Granny devoured Ken and put a curse on Ken. But she pretty much just spirit blasts them in this one moment. Just one shot, knocks Granny out of Ken, but not the curse. So Turbo Granny's sort of soul or, I don't know, essence has been knocked out, but the curse that she laid is still in him, telling us that she has his dong, as in she has his penis or his weenie, as it gets referred to sometimes in the subtrack. And as long as she has it, the curse won't be lifted. And if they want it back, to come and fight her in the haunted tunnel from earlier in the episode. So, man, I don't ever want to get my penis ripped off and taken away by a yokai, that's for sure. So, if that can never happen in my life, I'll be a very happy boy.
I think as long as you avoid haunted tunnels, you should be fine.
Yeah, I've been lucky so far then, because I've been in a couple, but luckily my banana organs are still there for now. So, so we get the future stakes here, the future plot set up where obviously Ken would want his banana organs back. So they want to get back to the tunnel to do battle with the Turbo Granny. We see then the spaceship crash lands. Momo and Ken exit and they start sort of reflecting on just the sheer craziness of the evening they've just had, admitting that both the occult and the supernatural are real. So like, you know what? You were right. I was right. Let's all be friends. Good time. But then they're also remembering and realizing that a battle with Turbo Granny is inevitable, especially if Ken wants his weenie back. So Ken, in this moment, he's like, you know what? I'm going to go it alone. He starts taking off his clothes to give to Momo because she's in like, I'm guessing it's like a science lab coat or a doctor's lab coat she's found, because obviously her clothes got ripped to shreds from the nasty aliens earlier, but starts stripping down, gives her his clothes in a very sweet gesture. You can see how much Ken cares for this girl already from the speech and then this moment. But she then says, you know what? We're in this together. I'm currently the reason that you're alive. Like, I'm using my psychic powers right now to keep your curse at bay. So we're going to go deal with this crazy female Turbo Granny yokai together and get it happening. And then Ken drops the line, listen, I'm an awkward guy, which sends Momo's heart racing, because this is a line that Ken Takamura has, spoken in one of his many fantastic films. So her heart's starting to flutter. She doesn't realize what's happening, but she's also like, you know what? I don't actually know your name, because she's been calling Ken Occult Coon the whole episode. So she doesn't actually know his name is Ken or Ken Takakura. So she's like, what is your name? And so he goes, my name's Ken Takakura. And this scene couldn't be animated and timed more perfectly, because we've got the spaceship that's been downed in the background. And we see this shot where Momo is standing in front of the spaceship. And as he goes, Ken Takakura, the spaceship just goes behind her. And it's just such a perfect moment to end this episode on, because then we cut to credits and you're like, yes, let's go. I'm in. I love this world. I want episode 2 through 12 and then beyond, because Dandadan's just the best, Courtney.
Yeah, so this last scene I adore. Seeing like she's wearing his jacket and he like starts stripping. He's like, here are my clothes. And she's like, no, keep your clothes on. Like, we have to go together. Like, it's fine. I'm okay. Like, she gets it. But the fact that he's so sweet and polite to kind of do that for her, when we know her shitty ex would never have done anything. Like, her shitty ex was like, give me money or I'm breaking up with you.
Yeah, put out or give me cash. Like, what a piece of shit.
Right. But then this guy that she's just met today is like, you know, getting like naked to give her his clothes is like so sweet of him in a weird way. But yeah, then I guess the kind of like symbolism of him being like, yeah, my name's Ken Takakura, and then her realizing, and then the spaceship exploding, and that symbolism of her, like, you know, that's her heart, right? Like beating so fast because she's like, oh my God, like this guy, he's just, I've known him for a day and he's done everything right. So it's very, very cute. And yeah, the ending is really fun. I really like the Maneki Neko, like a money cat, dancing and like walking, and it's another like really cool art style too.
Yeah, the ending, we get a really fun pop track called Tadaida by Zutomayo, and the song's really fun. The end sequence is really fun. Yeah, where we see, I'm not going to spoil anything because once you work out who or what that money cat is, it's just another great, cool piece of storytelling and a great character that folds into this ensemble cast. But yeah, seeing this little humanoid money cat just go around living its life, eating food, having a nap, like we can all relate to that. We all want to be this cat. And it's just a really fun sort of full stop to this first episode, because I feel it's one of the stronger first episodes in a while, because it's hard to get a lot of storytelling and world building and character development within a 20-minute window. But I think Dandadan really does well. Like by the end of it, I'm fully invested in this world. I'm fully believing that aliens and the supernatural are real, and I'm fully behind Momo and Ken. Like they give us enough backstory to care and understand who they are and where they came from.
It's so cute. And I hope there's romance. I'm excited. Obviously, I haven't read the manga, so I'm going in blind. I really hope there's like a romance between them because I think they really suit each other and it's really wholesome.
I only started the manga earlier this year, but in typical me fashion, I got obsessed very quick and smashed it through. And I'm very, very impatiently waiting for every new chapter to drop. And just where this story goes, like get ready, because it is such a fun, unique roller coaster ride. And it's quickly becoming one of my favorite stories across any medium. Like I am so obsessed with this world. And I'm also so happy that, like we were talking on More Than Headlines earlier about some of these great anime we're watching, but no one seems to be talking about them. Everybody is talking about Dandadan. Like it is everywhere. Like you can't spit without hitting something related to Dandadan at the moment.
Even my husband, who will very typically only watch one anime a season, he saw that I was watching this. I was sitting down to watch this and he was like, I want to watch this with you. And I was like, okay, let's watch.
That makes me so happy. And from first reports, he enjoyed the first episode. So I'm happy to see that he's along for the ride too.
Yes, he did enjoy it. He loved the banana organ line. So love that for him.
And also, like something else I love with this anime, it's available on Crunchyroll, but it's also available on Netflix. So it's a lot more widely accessible. Day one sub and dub as well. So like that is
Insane.
A rarity. And I've watched episode 4 times now. I've watched it twice in sub, twice in dub, and the voice work in both is like top tier. Like you can't go wrong either way.
It's so rare to get something that's day one dub, like same time dub. It's crazy. And I'm like, even I'm tempted to kind of go and check out the dub, even though I speak Japanese, so I prefer to watch subbed. But the fact that they're both out and both available, and like I've watched this episode twice, even I'm tempted to kind of go and have a watch of the dub because I wouldn't mind a third watch.
It's so good. And yeah, like we've got the episodes dropping weekly. So, every Friday for the next little under 3 months time, we're going to see this story unfold and go a whole heap of interesting directions. But if you're still on the fence about Dandadan, but you're a fan of Mob Psycho 100, Fooly Cooly, Chainsaw Man, and or Murai in Love, if you enjoyed any of those 4, you will most probably really enjoy Dandadan because they are the 4 most common. If you like that, you're going to love this from my anime list. But Courtney, let's jump into the last word, presented by our friends over at Japan Crate. Experience Japan through snacks and knickknacks via monthly package drops, courtesy of japancrate.com. And while you're there, be sure to use code 8bit15 at checkout to get free posting anywhere in planet Earth, as well as 15% off your order. But Courtney, what is your last word, your last words, your last thoughts on Dandadan?
My last thoughts. I love these characters. I love Ken. I'm so excited to learn more about Ken. Like, I feel like we've had a lot of Momo in episode 1. I want to know about Ken. He seems like so cool. He's like that cool, mysterious guy. Give me Ken.
I love Ken. I love Momo. Like, I just love like the entire ensemble cast, like the people we're going to be introduced to in future episodes. They are all so well written and so memorable for a whole host of reasons. So, yeah, I'm just looking like I'm almost like a proud parent, like watching on as people watch these upcoming episodes, knowing what's to come and just seeing them react and get so excited about, whoa, this just happened, or this character is introduced, or what? And I'm like, I know, son, or I know, daughter. Like, I was there too several months ago. Like, I'm happy you got here eventually. But yeah, it's so, so good. But yeah, Courtney, I wanted to know, so that means you're going to keep watching?
Oh yeah, 100%. I think this will definitely be one of the best anime this season, just judging from all the hype and the discussion in the first episode. If you're not watching this show, like, start now.
Yes, please do. Because yeah, you can jump in pretty well close to day one. Like, check out episode 1. Like, this will be out in the next 24 hours. We're recording, as I said, on the 6th of October. So we'll have a quick turnaround on this. And then, yeah, you can watch along with us all on Netflix or Crunchyroll every, Friday evening. You can do Friday night Dandadan watch-alongs. Who the heck knows?
And then we'll be discussing it in More Than Headlines. So
ooh, yeah, we can give you, weekly updates episodically on More Than Headlines, which, we'll be having another episode out around the same time here on this same RSS feed. So once you're done checking this out, head on over to Headlines and you'll have a good old time. But Courtney, thank you so much for stopping on by twice this Sunday and sharing your thoughts and awesomeness here in the Sugoi studio. Anything you wanted to mention or shout out before we close this down for another week?
Oh my God, I can do it. I have this.
For the audio listeners, explain to them what you're showing right now.
It's a sticker book of Chikawa, who is one of my favorite characters, favorite anime. Chikawa is currently up to episode 120 and it's on YouTube. Anyway, I have a sticker book of Chikawa because I love Chikawa a lot.
Yeah. Shout out to Chikawa. Can't close an episode any better than with a little fantastic sticker book. I'm surprised there's that amount of pages and expressions that little bugger can show. Like, he's not a heavily detailed character, but there's a lot of different movements and poses going on there. There's
321 stickers in this book. Look, this is a picture of Usagi. He's laying on the ground going, huh? You're welcome.
Thank you for bringing that absolute gold here to the end of More Than Hentai. But yeah, you can find Courtney on the socials at Courtney_san. You can find me at More Than Senpai. You can find the rest of our content holistically over at morethanhentai.life. You can get merch over there. You can become official member of the Sugoi Squad, like our fantastic producers, Aaron L., Dan G., Duffo, Fruge, Skreemus, Smashfxn and Voidmayonnaise. You're all the very best. So thank you for being card-carrying members of the Sugoi Squad. Be sure to rate, review, subscribe this podcast, as well as all the other podcasts you listen to on the regular. Those ratings and reviews, they take no time. They cost you no money. But they help keep the emotional lights on in these big old hearts and help keep us tracking, keep us relevant, and keep us out there for new people like yourselves to find and hopefully enjoy what we are doing. So if you can do that, that would be fantastic. But Courtney, thank you again for stopping on by. We'll do this all again in roughly 7 days' time because we are sickos and just can't get enough about talking about anime. But listeners, viewers, Sugoi Squad, whether your anime be subbed, dubbed, or still yet to come, enjoy yourself, stay hungry, and much love to all the gorgeous waifus and husbandos out there. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.